Hello, good morning, my YouTube beauties. I hope you had a well rested night. I did not want to get out of bed this morning as usual, but it's coming to a close. These kids ain't gonna be in school after like for the next 2 weeks, and then that's it. They take their regents, and that's it. It's about to be summertime. It's about to, they about to be done. So, yeah, that quick. This school year has definitely flown. My son is about to be a 10th grader. He showed me his grades because they had PTA like, what was that, like 2 or 3 weeks ago? And, yeah, like just like that, school year is over. It's been an interesting one. It's been a very good one for my son, and I'm so proud of him. He doing what he want to do. He was like, "Mommy, do I have to do sports?" I said, "No, not if you don't want to." He did sports in junior high. He did basketball, soccer, and track. He did not like it. So he decided to be on a step team. I'm not gonna lie, I was skeptical because typically in high school, stepping is for girls, and it is majority girls. The coach is openly gay. Most of the teachers in his school are gay. His coach is walks with a purse, like I walk with a purse, and so I was very skeptical of that because he's with this man after school for hours, and I was very skeptical of that, being honest. But when I saw the passion with my son and how happy it made him be, I was like, okay, I'm going to support him. I'm going to support my child. And that's what's important. Like, as a parent, your job is to support, not to always agree, because they don't always agree with what we do. But if you love someone, you'll support them. And it's really that simple. And I love my son, and I support him in what he does. I've had fun going. It's been a very interesting road. I invited my father. I invited my friend came. When we went to, that was 2 weeks ago, we went on the 6th, and it was very good. Virginia, he's had a good time. Recently, we went to Harlem, and he performed. So it's been really good. Very proud of him. But today, I noticed that everybody on YouTube, a lot of my story people, talking about worst day ever. And I was thinking, do I have a bad date story? I have dated different men over my years, and I don't really have any stories that's too bad, but I do have one that I wanted to talk about. So picture it, Brooklyn, Brownsville, 2018. Now, this is before, like my recent ex, we met December 2018. We were together off and on for 3 years. And I recently broke up with him for good last year. This is before I met him. So I met him in December. And this is a guy that I met summer of 2018. So me personally, and not throwing shade to anybody who does, but I don't talk to men who try to holler at me in the street. I find it, first of all, it's too easy. And when I was in my younger days, 18 and 19, I used to do that. But I feel like if you're trying to holler at me in the street, that means that that's something you do. That's how I see it, because it's so easy. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's so easy to just get a girl from the street. That tells me you're not selective. That tells me you're probably just looking for a good time, sexually. And who says that they meet their husband in the street? Like, I've heard of people like Basima. She's my favorite YouTuber. Now, she met her husband in the club. My grandparents met in the club. Personally, I don't think so, but you're more likely to meet your husband in a club than you are in the street. Because in the street, it's the street. Like, you're walking down the street. There's a lot of beautiful women. I live in New York City. There's a lot of beautiful women. A whole lot. A whole lot. So I don't talk to men who try to holler at me in the street because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. So that's how I see it. So this particular guy, I don't even remember his name. We just gonna call him Dusty because that's what he was. He was Dusty. We met. I didn't want to give him my number. I was reluctant, but he was around a bunch of people, so I felt bad for him. And he was like, "Oh, let me get your number, whatever." The reason why I was skeptical is because I'm gonna let y'all know something. Brownsville is one of the worst neighborhoods in New York City, period, right? So anybody who hangs out in Brownsville is a crackhead. It's not a stereotype, it's the truth. Anybody that tells you, oh yeah, I hang out in Brownsville, they up to no good. There's nothing in Brownsville, literally, but projects. I'm telling you right now. The houses are very unattractive. Like, to get real estate in Brownsville, it doesn't make sense. Most real estate that was bought in Brownsville was, I want to say crack era. So maybe back then it was, but when you drive around Brownsville, the houses look very ugly. They don't look like normal houses. The houses, decent houses are like in East New York, Bedford-Stuyvesant. They're known for brownstones. But nobody gets real estate in Brownsville. That's just a place, like with me, I'm a single parent getting my stuff together, and I eventually plan on moving out. So just the fact that I seen him hanging out in front of a barbershop, that was a turn off right then and there. But I did notice he had on construction clothes. So I'm like, okay, he got a job. Maybe he's a decent person. Boy, was I wrong. Well, I was right that I thought he was a Dusty. So he comes up to me, I give him my number, and I knew that I wasn't interested in him, really, but I was like, you know what? Let me give him the benefit of the doubt. Ladies, don't do that. Don't give nobody no motherfucking benefit of the doubt, because number one, they don't give us the benefit of the doubt. They have an opinion of you, and they're going to stick to that. Secondly, your gut is never wrong. Like, if you have a gut-wrenching feeling about a guy, sometimes we could be wrong, as we may think he's Prince Charming, he comes out a frog. But I'm talking about, if you can kind of tell sometimes when a dude ain't no good, right? So I just knew he was up to no good. I was asking him, I said, so, we was chatting it up, and I was like, well, where are you from? He's like, he from East New York. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. But, so where was it? Yeah, so he's like, oh, I'm from East New York. I'm like, oh, I grew up in East New York. I grew up in Linden Plaza. Now, if somebody says, oh, I hang out in East New York, then that's a little bit better, because, you got Plaza, you got the Gateway Mall, you have the diner, you have the movie theater. Like, there's places to actually go in East New York. And it's the same as far as poverty, but it's a little different. Like, employment rate is higher. If you was to run a statistic, I'm pretty sure it's more people who have high school diplomas in East New York than Brownsville, easy. More people that's working. First of all, like in Linden Plaza, you gotta have a job. You can't just, like with the projects, just in general, you don't have to be working. All you have to do is, like a family member could give you money, and that's considered income. They take anybody, it's a positive thing to get on your feet, but it's kind of a negative thing, because the majority of people in Brownsville, they live off of welfare and SSI, and that's just the facts. I've been there 11 years, and just my floor alone, from the elevator to the left side, me and my neighbor across the hall, we're the only people who work. The rest of them are on assistance or whatever. And I know this because I talk to my neighbors. I don't just, I actually talk to my neighbors. They've told me they don't work, with welfare, SSI, whatever. So when he said that, he's from East New York or he hangs out in Brownsville, I automatically knew, like, you hang out in Brownsville for, and I knew I saw him like smoking or whatever. And I don't judge people who smoke because, hey, life is hard and we all have our own ways on how we deal with stress. So for me, I deal with stress by going out and, praying. I don't pray all the time, but for me, it's spirituality. Everybody's not spiritual. You got a lot of people who go to church, but they're not spiritual. But for me, I'm spiritual. And I call on God when I'm stressed. But for the most part, most people are not going to do that. They don't know how to do that. So they turn to substances. Do I approve of it? No, but I'm not going to judge you if you do that. So I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, well, maybe. Because after all, he was in work clothes, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. So this is like August. It's summertime. My son is in Jersey and I'm bored with nothing to do. So I hit him up and I'm like, yo, I'm on 34th Street. Come through. Pull up. He's like, oh, I don't have any money. And that's one thing I don't understand. Like, he works. Like, this is not a person who don't work. I met him in his work clothes. He had paint on his boots, right? He had paint on his pants. So this is a person who works. So when he said that, I'm like, I just don't understand that. And I know a lot of people like that, like, oh, I'm broke. I can see if you broke because you pay bills, but that's not what he said, but whatever. So I told him, I said, yo, just come through. I got you. We just, I just don't want to. I told him, I'm on 34th Street. I'm out here and I don't want to be by myself. Just come through. I got you. So it's pouring rain. It's like normally when it's raining, I stay home. But this particular day, I just didn't. I wanted to go out. So it was it was like a sitcom. I'm standing there waiting for him. Yeah, I'm standing there waiting for him. And there's an old man there. And so he's like, what is a pretty girl like you here waiting for? Whatever. And this was Hooters. I had never been to Hooters. And I wanted to see what the hype was about. So I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for this guy, whatever. He was like, this is your first time going out and y'all going to Hooters? Like, he started judging me, like, what? Like, he said something. I forgot what he said, but it was just so judgmental. And I'm like, how does that make me a certain type of female because I'm taking him to Hooters? It just didn't make sense. And I'm like, you be surprised the things that men say. Like, what? Like, it's a restaurant, just like any restaurant. The only difference is all the waiters or waitresses, they're all women and they wear shorts. I have on shorts. It's summertime. I don't see what the issue is. So he said what he said. I don't remember exactly, but basically saying that's not good for you to be going on a first date with a guy at Hooters. Okay, that's your opinion. Like, whatever. That's like, I'm like, it's not a strip club. I would say it's not good to go to a strip club with a guy because that kind of gives off the wrong impression. He's going to obviously be aroused, after. So I would say a strip club is not a good first date. But it really depends on how y'all vibing. Like, it doesn't, whatever. So I'm standing there in the rain. He came like an hour later than what he said. Yo, he was mad high. I kid y'all not. He was mad high. And at that point, I did want to say, like, cancel right then and there. But I'm like, he already here. Fuck it. So we get inside. We get drinks. And he was complimenting me or whatever. Then this nigga had a nerve to say, oh, I'm a little hungry. And I told him, I said, I'm already paying for drinks. Like, what the fuck? He's like, oh, I can't drink on an empty stomach. I'm like, come on, whatever. So I get him food too. And then it eventually stops raining. So when we left, we were on 34th, so we walked to 42nd. And it's a nice walk or whatever. And I do it all the I've done it all the time, you know, whatever. When I was going to Mercy College, I would walk from Grand Central Station to where the school is, 34th. And it's not a bad walk. And it's nice to walk when you with your friends. You know, him and I didn't really have anything to do. So we actually walked to Bryant Park. Those of you from New York City, Bryant Park is a nice park. You could just sit, chillax, and that's what we did. We walked to 42nd, Bryant Park. And as we're walking, he's like telling on himself. He's like, oh, I don't believe in paying for a woman. And I'm like, huh? I said, since I paid this first time, which is something I've never done in my entire life, like I told y'all before, the compulsive liar, he even paid the first time or whatever. You know, like everybody that I've been on a date with, they always paid the first time. Even the broke businessman, he paid for dinner. I paid for the party to get into. So I paid for drinks and thing. And I said, just common courtesy, I paid. Don't you think the next time you should pay? He was like, no, I don't believe in that. I feel like he was like, next time we hang out, I'm just going to pay for myself. I said, well, I guess it won't be a next time because that's not fair. Even if we were just homeboys, it's the sense of, it's just common courtesy. I paid this time, you pay next time. Like, I don't understand. So then he started telling me about his baby mother and how he provided and paid for everything. I'm like, what's that have to do with me? That has nothing to do with me. And that right there was such a turnoff. So because you chose, I said, y'all dated, right? Like y'all was together and she used you. I told him straight to his face, that's a reflection of you and your bad choices. So that shows that it's something about you. You like bum bitches. You're not going to say, oh no, he like, no, I don't. I said, yes, you do. You was with her for how many years? And you're telling me that when we go out, you're not going to pay for me because of her? Make it make sense. And so we started talking more. And I was like, yes, I do believe a woman should be independent. Da, da, da. And then he was like, yeah, that's all I was saying. I said, no, you was like on some, if we hang out again, you're not paying. And I'm like, that's fine. We just won't do it again. Like, you know, you're not hurting my feelings. I don't care. So we walking through the park. We walking from Bryant Park and he's kissing up on me. And I'm like, this nigga was stink, y'all. I mean, when I say stink, he smelled like a homeless person. And he was high. So he smelled like funk, ass, and weed. Like, you know, FAW, funk, ass, and weed. He smelled so horrible. And he was like, well, why you don't want to kiss me? I was like, first of all, I don't know you like that. Number one. And number two, you stink. I told him just like that. You smell really bad. He's like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I said, go like this. Go like this. And I told him, smell yourself. I said, I'm not even trying to play you. Smell yourself. And he's like, nah, that ain't me. Like, he was in denial. And I'm like, ew, like, oh my God. So we get on the train and then, you know, I go back home or whatever. I don't think I didn't let him walk me home or nothing like that. And so that was just disastrous. And then I told him straight up, I think he messaged me and was like, oh, something. And I told him straight up, I said, I'm not interested. Like I told you from when you asked me for my number, I wasn't interested. And I just let him know, like, I'm not interested. But, yeah, that was just horrible. That was just crazy. You know, I was nice enough to pay for drinks. Then you want to ask for food. Then you have a nerve to be stink and high. This nigga was high, y'all. The whole time he was high. He was high. And I'm like, at least be sober. Like if he would have told me, yo, I'm smoking right now, I would have understood. Don't come on the date high. Like that to me was just so crazy. But that's my worst date experience. I could truly say with other dates, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Yeah, well, I've been blessed with decent dates. But that's my story time, y'all.